Hey folks, have you guys ever thought about building on a lot? Have you ever thought about purchasing some land to build your dream home? Well, guess what? I'm here to kind of guide you and direct you. I'm not going to give you the full version, but you're going to get the abbreviated version here of how to go about planning. So first of all, you need a plan. You need a good solid plan to build your home. Whether it's a castle or a tiny home, you got to have a plan. If you don't plan to have a good plan, then you'll just fail when you don't have a plan. So, anyways, so here you go. Fine. Let's go right to the top. So, yes, when considering buying a vacant land and building on your home, you need to start with a plan, a well thought out plan. So, here's a few steps that I've come up with when building. I have built a number of homes, and I'm just going to give you some of my experience and things that you need to think of. And it's not an exhaustive list, but it's a really good place to start. And that's what I'm here for, is to help you get started. And when you are ready, give me a call. We'll find you just the right piece of land, and I'll help you get the ball rolling. So things you got to think about is decide where. So that's location. You need to decide when is your timing. When do you want to do it? Because it does take time to make the plans, to come up with a plan, and to start executing the plan and getting all your permits and everything in place. And that's where I come in to help. Then you need to decide how and how much. So you need to decide the size of the building, and you need to decide who's going to do your drawings and stuff like that. Then you need to decide how much, the cost, your budget, the money. How much money do you need? What's it going to cost per square foot? How are you going to do it? Are you going to hire a general contractor, or are you going to do it yourself and be your own general contractor? There are different ways of doing it, and that's where I come in. I can help you decide what is best for you. So then we go on to who. You need a contract. If you've decided to go that way, to hire a general contractor, then you got to decide who that is. And I'm going to go, that's just the brief. Now I'm going to go a little bit more into detail for you. So here you go. So some of the things that you need to think about when you actually start making the plan. You need to think of things like entrance permit, engineering fees, development fees for the municipality, for the county, development charges, education development charges, water, sewer, lot grading, design, and fees. You need to think of, are you going to have a wood stove? Are you going to have a pool? Are you going to have decks? These are all extra permits and extra fees. You need to have that all in place. Who's going to be your designer or architect? Designers can design up to so many square feet, and then the architect would need to take over, or an engineer, one or the other. You need to think of your well, your septic, if you're on a rural property. Also electrical permits, energy efficiency design. You also need to think about the zoning and whether or not you need whether you can do a severance on the land, or whether you need a minor variance, whatever. There's so many things to think about, and that's where I come in to play to help you sort all that out. Then we go into, you need to make the most of every square inch of that home. You also need to think about lot coverage, because municipalities only allow a certain amount of lot coverage and a certain amount of buildings on that property. You also want to know that in the future, can you add on, or can you do an accessory dwelling? So say you want your kids to live on the land with you, some municipalities will allow you to put a second home on that property, but it is considered one home, but with an accessory dwelling on it. So you'll need to contact me. That's a whole different topic, so I'm getting ahead of myself here. So anyways, work with your designer or architect. Make sure that you have a well thought out plan. You need to think of things too, like passive solar energy. You need to think of barrier free design. These are some of the things that will help you as you grow in the house, because you hopefully will live there for a long time. You want to think of, as you get older, what will make it easier for you to live there. Then also think of who will live there. How many people are going to live in the home? Who's going to live there? Is it going to be just one generation? Is it going to be just you and your spouse, or is it going to be just you, or is it going to be you, your spouse, your kids, you, your spouse, your kids, maybe your grandparents, or your parents? All of that will come into play. You also want to think about considering ways to save money, but not sacrifice on design and style. You can still have a beautiful home and still save money in certain areas. So those are just some of the things to think about when designing the actual house. It's a good idea to look at lots of plans online. Also, sit down with a scrap piece of paper and just draw some sketches. Think about who is going to be there. So that's a great place to start, even before you talk to your designer or architect. Then the next step, you want to talk to a contractor. If your contractor is going to be like your best friend during the whole process. So if that's the way you've gone, if you've gone way of general contractor to build your home, you're going to want to get along well with him. If you clash personality wise, do not hire them. Even if they have the best references in the world, you still got to work with them. So make sure that you have a ability to work with that person and that you really like them. So because there's a lot that's going to be involved with that contractor. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in the next couple slides. So work with your contractor here. Stick to a schedule. Now, I say stick to a schedule. Have a schedule laid out. Have expectations. He will have expectations too as to how long it's going to take you for him to get to a certain part of the building. But at the same time, just know that if you make any changes, it's going to cost. It'll either bring the cost down or add to the cost. So no matter what, it will affect the cost, and it will cost your schedule and your timing. So make sure you know and you have that conversation with the contractor, because like I said, he's going to be your best friend, he or she. It might be a she. Just make sure you work it out really well with them and get it in writing. Get it right. Everybody has their word, but listen, sometimes we forget. Oh yeah, we said we were going to do this, and then it doesn't happen. So just get it in writing, and then there's no confusion. So there you go. That's talking about your contractor. Now stick to a budget. Have a budget, stick to it. But I will say, make sure you have about 15% or better set aside just in case for incidentals. You think of there back in 2020, the prices of lumber went through the roof. 20 and 21, they're like double, triple what they were in some from the previous 2019. Like they went through the roof. It was crazy how much people were paying for. I did some building myself on my own house, and I could not believe the cost of how much the materials went up. So you need to have that budget set aside for that extra fund set aside just in case. The other thing is, what if labor? What if for some reason one of the sub trades, like your electrician, plumber, whatever, is unable to make it and be at your job site to complete their task, and you have to hire a different one, or your general contractor has to hire somebody, and they come in at a higher price. You need to be able to afford to be able to cover those costs. So make sure you have that budget. And try to keep a positive relationship with your builder. Just because they're going to be your best friend for the duration of getting that house built. Plus, I find personally that whenever you develop a good and positive relationship with that people, they'll go over and above to make sure that you're happy and that things are done on schedule according to time. So also think of things like paying your contractor on time, because you don't want any delays. If you have a draw schedule for, say, every 2 weeks, or you have a draw schedule for, say, when framing's done or plumbing's done, electrical's done, or certain parts of the project are done, if that's the pay schedule, make sure it's done on time. Make sure you don't go and say, oh, wait, I got to go and draw those funds from this account or that account. No, if it's supposed to be done on the Friday or the Monday, make sure you do it, have it in the bank in advance so that you don't delay, because those guys are counting on that money and they got to pay their trades, and they've got bills to pay too. So just keep that in mind. Be considerate of that. So sticking to the budget, and then the final outcome. The biggest thing is once you've got that plan, try to stick to it as best you can. We know that there are outside variables that can affect it, but just have a little patience and try to stick to it as best you can. But outside of that, there are some things that do happen. But just know that this process, it can be fun, it can be confusing, and it can be time consuming. So make sure you set aside that time and just make sure that you're ready to take on the task. And to get started, by all means, give me a shout, give me an email, call, whatever, check out my Facebook page. Make sure you check out other YouTube videos here, because there's other information about building and maintenance and design and real estate and all that kind of stuff. Lots of good educational videos. So please check them out. And, just if you have any questions or comments, absolutely feel free. I'd love to hear from you. And just remember, this is not an exhaustive list. This is just a brief overview. So again, thanks a lot for checking this out, and I hope this is helpful to you. And until next time, I'm Joseph Talbot, real estate broker in the beautiful southern Georgian Bay area in Ontario. Thanks again. Have yourself a fantastic day.